Wait, they were like, what?
And I was like, boss, please. Hey guys, welcome back to Boss Please. I'm Jillian.
And I'm Meghan.
And we're here to bring you a hilarious episode.
Yes.
Meghan, how were you boss this week?
Oh gosh, how was I a boss this week? I always think about it at a time. I totally forgot. Okay, I was a boss because I feel like I'm really good at just mediating things. I feel like there was a couple of situations in the past week that involved some family, some friends, and I just felt like I was really good at keeping the peace. I was really good at being the mediator, bringing those anger energies down and kind of making everyone level-headed. So I'm really proud of myself for that because I used to be a peer mediator in middle school and clearly I still have those skills.
Okay. Well, I was a boss this week. I wrote mine down because I had some
so
extra
prepared.
time today.
Oh,
I mean, like, Meg.
no, you're so prepared. I just forget because I'm just a boss all the time. Boom.
You just have a lot of things going on. I get it. So this is going to, actually, no, it's not stupid. I'm going to own it. I've been trying to cut corners and save money in some places. And one of the ways I found to cut corners is to stop buying so much iced coffee, whether that be out at places or when you go to the grocery store and there's pre-made iced coffee. So I went on Amazon, I bought a huge pitcher, and then I bought these baggies that you put coffee grounds in. And I brew my own.
Hell yeah.
Lasts me the whole week because I need it this early in the morning. It's tragic.
Yeah.
I get up at 4:15 every day. And then we got coffee from Costco, a 3-pound, delicious dark roast situation.
Amazing.
And yeah, so it's been great. And I've saved a ton of money. So I suggest that you guys do that. The Amazon thing cost me $20.
And think of how much that's saving.
I know, and it's delicious.
I love.
Yeah. So, again, call back to the beginning of the episode. It's going to be a funny one. So, we decided to go with that theme for this real talk. So, let's talk about diverting awkward situations in everyday life and how we sort of handle the awkwardness.
Yes. I think everyone can relate, whether you're at work, you're at a family dinner, you're with friends. Nowadays, things can become awkward very easily because a lot of people know about your life based on social media, and someone says something that you're like, how did that person know? Or you just spill or whatever. But I feel like I'm very good at making situations less awkward because I think I just either crack a joke that sort of breaks the ice and makes everyone laugh, but sometimes, here's the other side of it, sometimes diverting with humor can actually make people angry.
Really?
Yeah, that happens.
Did it happen to you?
No, because I wasn't the one diverting with humor, but I witnessed it.
Oh.
This was, I don't want to name the situation, but there was a situation where it got very intense and it was a very weird situation and someone diverted with humor and it was just kind of the wrong time. Even though I respected it, it didn't affect me, but it affected the other people in the room and they did not think it was funny.
Okay.
And it sort of just became even more awkward.
Interesting.
Yeah. So how do you deal with those situations?
I like to own the awkwardness. So if I'm feeling awkward about something, I tend to just call it out.
Yeah.
And some people are really receptive and it breaks the ice because they're thinking the exact same thing that I'm thinking. And then other times it miserably fails. But at the same time, it's I'm not going to compromise who I am. I don't know. It's weird. If something happens to me, say I'm super clumsy. So if something happens where I'm in high heels and I'm on the street by myself and I fall flat on my face and somebody sees me and helps me up, on the inside, I'm absolutely dying. When that person that helps me up, I'm going to say, thank you. On the inside, I'm dying because I don't know any other way to handle it. I probably joke things off sometimes, but I just feel let's just call it out for what it is because we're literally human. We go through the same exact thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel people are just so timid about awkward situations. I don't get it.
It's just the whole thing with it became a funny thing to say, I don't know what to do with my hands, because everyone's feeling the same thing. Like, nobody knows what to do with their hands, but then it became a joke.
I don't know. Like, I've never cared. Like, if I'm feeling awkward by myself, like if something happens to me where I'm alone, then obviously I'm like, you know, not going to call it out to the empty room of people. Like, I'll internalize it and probably beat myself up over the awkwardness and be like, oh, I could have handled that differently. Oh my God, like that. But if it's involving other people, I just feel like it's best to just address it right there, and we kind of need to move on, because most of the time, like, we don't have time to like dwell on the awkwardness.
No, but what have you ever been in a situation where it had nothing to do with you, but kind of like what happened to me the other night, you're witnessing it? Like, have you ever been in a work situation where two people are getting mad at each other? How do you handle it?
By making it more awkward. So I'll probably be like, yeesh, and walk away. Do you know what I mean? Like, what else is there to say? Like, some people are so unaware of what is happening around them, especially when they get into like a heated situation like that, where their eyes are locked in and it's almost like tunnel vision, and they don't understand that there's just an audience of people. I think when I was younger and I used to throw fits at stores, you know, my parents made me especially spatially aware of like, you can't do this. Like, do you realize like people are looking at you, people are staring at you, and like, it was me acting out, so I didn't care, but they felt the awkwardness, and they were like, so I've just always been especially aware. So I feel like making other people, when they're in that tunnel vision mode, aware that like, this is like not a conversation you should be having in front of all of us.
Right.
We need to move on. Yeah, I don't know. How about you?
Well, the only thing I can think about is a recent situation, but this kind of, I guess, doesn't pertain to any of the above, because this was probably the most awkward thing I've ever witnessed. And I don't even think I've told you this. But a few weeks ago, I was at an event, a big event. Thousands of people were there. I was just a spectator. And the poor girl that came out to sing the national anthem got halfway through, and she was about 40, forgot the words. And it was gut-wrenching because she didn't run off right away. She just stood there and kept looking at the color guard and saying, I don't know. And it's so funny how people react in those moments, because my mom said to me, well, why didn't everyone just start singing?
That was like probably what I would have done.
And I said, you know what, Mom, you are so right. That would have been the right thing to do. But everyone was so shocked, and everyone froze.
First of all, blame it on those color guard girls, because they should have been like, and the rock.
But I don't think they're allowed to speak. It was like the army and like I don't know if they're holding the flag very seriously.
I gotcha.
So I don't even think they were probably looking at her. They were probably looking straight ahead. But we all just froze, and then finally, it felt like 10 minutes. It was probably only a few seconds, but it felt so long. But finally, whoever was doing the control started a recorded version of the national anthem. So then she started singing along with that, completely got embarrassed, ran off. Oh. It was so awkward. And I felt so terrible for her. But that's an example of a moment where a massive amount of people didn't know how to handle it. Like, we could have handled it, we didn't.
So, like, if I was in that situation, I definitely would have been like Ashley Simpson was when she was caught lip-syncing on SNL, when she, like, did a jig. And was just like, I'm caught. Do. That's what would have been. That's what it would have been. It would have been like, okay, I don't know the words, so like, let's just own it and call it out for what it is.
Exactly. If you know, she was probably mortified, but she probably could have just gotten the mic and been like, oh, I'm sorry guys, I'm human, I'm super nervous. And then everyone would have been like, oh, we get it. And then like maybe people would have been prompted to sing, but it was like, anyways, awkward situations happen all the time in large capacities, in small capacities.
In stand-up.
And in stand-up. And you know who owns her bossness, even if situations are awkward? She owns it. Ariana Basseri. I will get it right one of these days. Basseri. I think it's because I've been saying it in my head so differently all this time. But anyways, she's going to be on the podcast, and we will be right back. Okay, welcome back, bosses. Get excited because we are sitting across from Ariana Basseri, possibly one of the funniest people I've ever met. However, before we read her bio, I'm gonna, like, full disclosure, Ariana wrote her own because she's just hilarious and it can't be done any other way. So I'm going to go ahead and read it, okay? So here we go, from the words of Ariana. Ariana Basseri is a dry cleaning heiress comedian from Los Angeles. She went to Emerson, which is important because so did y'all, meaning us. She also says y'all because her sister went to Ole Miss. Ariana has been doing stand-up comedy for 4 years, and she is very good. She is open for famous people like Sarah Silverman and Arsenio Hall. And you can follow her at Ariana Basseri, but we'll spell it out for you later on social media. And she is very good at Instagram stories. She wrote that, but I can also second that she is amazing at Instagram stories. Welcome, Ariana.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Right. So now that we've pumped you up, let's bring you down a notch.
I am
just kidding.
hyped.
No, we don't want you to come down a notch at all. Okay, so let's just start from the beginning. I mean, we're going to go in all different directions in this podcast.
Love that.
But what was baby Ariana like?
I was so proper and I loved rules and I was shy. So my mom made me go to improv classes when I was like
Stop
9.
it. And this is how we have you
Yeah,
now.
and then I just kind of developed and flourished and did acting in high school.
Oh my gosh.
I kept leveling up and now I'm just very developed personality.
I think we should explain what she's wearing right now.
Yeah. So maybe we'll actually attach a photo to
Definitely.
Yeah, we have
to the Instagram so you guys can actually check this out. But for those who don't follow Ariana yet on Instagram, Ariana is, I would say, infamous for homemade gifts that she gives people. Now, these gifts are exceptional because they could range from, you know, one of her friends' mug shots being put on an actual mug to a pillowcase featuring her best friend's face and her face that sits on his bed, things like that. So Ariana is in a relationship now, and why don't you take it from there?
Okay, so yes, I have a boyfriend and he gets it. And I was recently crying at LAX because the global entry guy was bullying me. It's kind of like when you go after customs. And I just sent him this picture of me crying like a selfie. And he put it on a t-shirt. And I've been wearing it. And my dad's like, why are you wearing that? Like, it's upsetting to my parents because they don't get how funny it is for me to wear a shirt of me crying.
It is amazing. Like, it's so good. And it's even funnier because when I answered the door when you came in, well, A, I already knew that you were wearing that shirt because I stalked your Instagram story. But 2, I remember that Instagram story, and to see it relived again, I was like, this is so good. This is just absolutely so good. So obviously you're very close to your family. Oh, sorry, I'm doing 2 questions in a row, aren't I?
Oh,
I'm good. Okay.
Yeah.
Explain to me how you became a dry cleaning heiress. Like, what's the story with your family? I want to know all of it.
I am with my family constantly, right? No one believes that I don't live with them. Like, I have an apartment. I don't live with my parents, and I'm just with them. So to go on your podcast or to film things or to be an actor, comedian, whatever, it's nice to be flexible. So I work for my parents, but then I'm with them constantly. And I just started joking that I was a dry cleaning heiress. And people are like, you have to open with that, like in stand-up. So now I just say I'm the Paris Hilton of dry cleaning and talk about my empire and
it's amazing.
The
but
cleaners.
It's so clever.
But like, honestly, you are, because I get a really good sense of who you are, obviously, from what you share on social media. And your parents are characters in this reality television show that you put on. Mm-hmm. Like, I assume that they provide much of your material in your stand-up.
I definitely do have some jokes more about my dad. My mom, I don't really know how to joke about her. And then my sister, I don't really know how to do that either. But I am like being pitched for reality shows right now.
Oh, I would absolutely watch a reality show with all of you.
Because the family unit is really interesting because my dad is Iranian, like an Iranian immigrant who's Muslim. And my mom is like this Jewish lady from Southern California. And my sister did go to Ole Miss, which is the literal antithesis to Emerson, right? Like they're complete opposites. So I think it's a really interesting dynamic because we get along and we're very close, but I also, have to set a lot of boundaries.
Have you been pitched for Shaws of Sunset?
I've actually auditioned for Shaws of Sunset. I made it really far in casting for season 7, which because they wanted me to come in as a duo. They wanted me and a Persian friend, and my sister wouldn't do it. And I could not get I don't know any Persians. It's kind of my own identity thing because I'm very white and I don't have any Persian friends really. I recently dated a Persian guy who had the same last name as me. That was like a whole other funny thing. Yeah, I called him my boyfriend brother. Our last names were one letter off. And just to put it into perspective, my dad and his brother's last names are one letter off because they just didn't talk about it when they came to America.
Oh,
so like generally speaking, from what I know about the Persian community, like they're like very close knit, and like the girls usually marry Persian guys and things like that. So is that ever anything that your dad pushed on you?
Well, because the rule is more for the women, right? And they're more protective of their women. My dad was able to marry some American Jew because it didn't matter for him because he was the son and the firstborn. So then everything kind of fell apart. So now my mom will be like, I want you to marry a Jewish guy. And I'm like, you married a Muslim guy. So they all lost their shot at pushing their things.
Right.
Because they already broke the mold.
It's funny that you say that you don't know, how to really joke about your mom, because I feel like the whole time you guys were in Paris, I was cracking up. You're like, Mom sent her food back again, or where were you guys at Gucci?
Oh, we were mostly at Gucci.
Tell us that whole thing, because that's just so funny.
Well, okay, so pretty much my mom and I one time went to Spain together, just us two, and all we wanted to do was be at Louis Vuitton. And, like, that's just how which is French, versus when we're in France, we were at an Italian store the whole time. Like, we're just not good tourists. And we went on these damn 4-hour tour guide tours, and we're like, let's just go to Gucci, because we have a lot more fun becoming friends with the employees and like building rapport and like visiting them.
You guys were there, you became friends with.
Oh yeah, Elodie follows me on Instagram now. We DM. She's like responding to my stories being like, I'm glad your sister liked her scarf. Like, that's more of how my mom and I travel, and we like to build friendships with these people. It's so silly, and we don't like any of the real tour stuff.
Right. No, I love it. And then your mom is like, I really want to get this. Don't tell Dad. Or let's call Dad and like tell him we're going to get this.
I know. She was so bad. She was like, let's call Daddy. And I was like, it's 4 a.m, lady.
Like, just get it. Just get it.
I know. My mom's like, I spent too much money. My dad's like, I'll give you more.
I love your dad. I love him so much.
They have such an interesting relationship because there's like a communication. They don't get it, but it works out. I think that because they don't know each other that well, it's why their relationship works. Because I work with them, and they'll tell me like conflicting things. Like something as simple as, should we have the price list on the website? My dad will be like, take it off. My mom will be like, put it on. And I'll be like, I don't know what to do, because you're both my bosses, and you literally contradict each other all the time. But they're horny for each other. I don't know what to tell you. They're like always in the pool. My mom is so thirsty for my dad. I'm like, back off.
That is so.
And like, one thing I will say is they do seem super proud of you and supportive with what you're doing. So what was it kind of like getting into stand-up, because they really come to like almost every single show.
I have to tell them not to come. I did a show last night at a bar, like this really divey, grungy bar where the toilet seat's like broken off the toilet. And I'm like, Mommy, please don't come, because I don't want to take care of you or to like remind you. But my parents are like crazy supportive. I did like this ass eating joke for the first time and my dad was there, and I was kind of like, okay, we're not going to talk about it. Like, I did the joke. He was like, you're so amazing. You did so well. I'm so proud. And then I think it's kind of a dad thing and a foreign thing where he can like tune it out or like choose to be deaf. What's the word? Like
selective hearing.
Selective hearing.
Yes.
So he does sometimes he does that. I'm in a film actually that comes out. I'm in this short film, and it opens on like a funny sex scene, but my dad told my mom he's just like not gonna come. So it's interesting to see like how he navigates it, because he's not gonna tell me not to do something, but he also is like a dad who's foreign, who doesn't have women in Iran can't show their hair, and now I'm like in a film riding a guy. It's not sexy. Like in Bridesmaids it opens on a sex scene, but it's not sexy. It's kind of like that. Like I'm funny. Fully dressed, no kissing.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
But I also feel like at this point, as just like a culture in general, we're like very desensitized to, let's call it softcore porn, since there are so many other dirtier things on the internet.
Right. That's such a good point. To me, and it's also because it's like you can't slut shame me, you can't body shame me, so I forget that to a parent it's still kind of jarring.
Yeah,
Actually, that's like a good transition into the next thing we wanted to ask you. As a female comedian, like what are you facing that your male counterparts aren't?
I mean, I've done shows where I like walk to the bathroom and a guy will be like, "Hey, you're really good, but you shouldn't dress like that, or you should not show cleavage. It's distracting." And I'm like, if that's your problem, like that's on you.
Right.
Being a pea brain. I mean, I dated a comedian once. I mean, hardly a comedian, whatever. I don't like him. But he was like, you should just, you want to dress more neutral so that they don't get distracted or they don't decide or have a preconceived notion. And I'm like, no, I'm doing the opposite. I want to be very clear as like who I am, what my personality is, and you're going to like it or not, but you're a white guy who wears t-shirts. Who's going to remember you?
Right. That's so true.
Yeah, my whole thing is like, I'll talk about getting injections and my nose job and I'll have cleavage, but that's me and it's funny and I'm not just on stage like touching my body like
right. No, it makes total sense. You own it. You are so you. And that's what
Yeah.
I loved about you. I only met you a couple months ago and I was like, oh my God, this girl is amazing.
No, we literally had a full-on convo like after she had texted me
Yeah.
when she was at the shoot.
Because I
And
said,
she's
do
like,
you know Ariana?
oh my God, do you know this girl? She's fucking hilarious. And I was like, I do know her. Yes, I do know her. I was like, if you don't follow her on Instagram, follow her on Instagram already because like she is like, your personality is just so big and so authentic.
Yes.
Thank you. I think that's a really big thing also. It's because people who want to tell you how to dress obviously have a problem with expressing themselves or being honest. And I think that if you are authentic, people can tell. And I think if you're trying too hard or if you're hiding something, it's kind of like
Right.
not cool.
What impresses me is that you've only been doing stand-up for 4 years, and that's not
No,
not
it's,
that
like,
long.
young
It's
for
a
that.
long time, but you're a young comedian. But you've already opened for a well-known comedians.
Yeah, I know those shows, like I call them like the famous man shows, even though Sarah Silverman was on one of them, but like crazy famous, like Dane Cook
Oh my
famous,
gosh,
Michael
amazing.
Rappaport, Ken Jeong. I'm just like, hey, what do you want me to say for your bio? Like when I host those shows, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Those shows I show cleavage because I'm like, who cares? I'm wearing jeans. It's like my body. I think that's part of it also. It's like, I'm not doing anything that doesn't exist. This is such a flattering podcast. I didn't know I was coming on here to get complimented.
because you're a boss.
I love it.
I
This
just
is
think
great.
it's important for people to realize that there is so much value in being yourself. And we talk about it a lot, but like really, truly, like some of the most amazing, funny, confident people that I know are just unapologetically, authentically themselves. And I feel like you are that. Question for all of those people that you open for, those big people, like, do you get nervous in those situations? Like, what is it like?
The first one I did, so the person producing it messaged me being like, hey, can you host on Thursday? And I didn't know I met him at a weed show, like a weed cafe show. And I was like, I have a dinner Thursday. And he's like, okay, well, can you maybe move your dinner? I was like, oh, fine. Okay. I had never hosted a show before. Let's keep this in mind. He sends me the flyer. It is literally Michael Rappaport, Adam Carolla, Dane Cook, and Arsenio Hall, and me on this flyer. And like, I was like, I had diarrhea for 2 days. I was like, and it was sold out. And I had never hosted in my life. But it's one of those things where you don't say that you've never hosted.
Right,
and I
right.
also had to teach myself not to be self-deprecating about it. I had to make a conscious effort instead of being like, oh, this is going to be so bad, or oh my God, I've never hosted before, or like, glad they got someone so experienced. I had to break that habit and be like, I'm going to kill it. And you have to kind of fake it in the positive direction. Because I could have been fake nervous, even though I was nervous. I was like, I'm not going to talk about having diarrhea. I'm not going to talk about I haven't eaten since Tuesday. Like, I was like, no. So I forgot what the question was, but it was like,
If you get nervous.
I was nervous that first time. And then once you do it and it went well, thank God. Once you do it and it goes well, and then I'm like, okay, you kind of become desensitized. I opened for Sarah Silverman. Like, she brought Sacha Baron Cohen backstage to like hang. And it's one of those things where you're almost like desensitized because it's like oversaturated with very famous people.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of like in it.
Do you prep your stuff ahead of time, or do you?
Well,
okay.
like so I did a bar show last night that I didn't prep for, and I was like, okay, I need to try these new bits. So I kind of treat casual shows like that is kind of an open mic where I test things. So I do some, you always sandwich it where it's like start strong, end strong, throw some new stuff in the middle.
Got
Right,
it.
that's what I do like as like management.
Really?
When I'm like critiquing somebody, yeah. The sandwich method
start
works
with a
there
positive,
too.
Yeah.
end with a positive. Do the shit in the middle, yeah.
So it's the same. So in those cases, I'll try new things then. But when I do like a Laugh Factory, Comedy Store, improv, whatever, no, you better know.
Yeah.
I'm less rigid than I used to be. I used to make flashcards with the jokes in the order. And now I'm like, you know what? I have enough confidence in myself to know that it'll go well. I know the jokes I'm excited to tell. I think that's also part of it. Like, what are you excited to tell versus you can tell when a comic is over a joke of theirs.
Yeah.
Because then it doesn't have a chance to even do well.
Right. That's interesting.
So besides stand-up, I also know that you are in writing classes and you have a pilot.
Yeah, I've written 3 pilots now, which I think is pretty cool because it actually helped me get my managers. So my pilot was sent to them and they're like, oh, we'll take a meeting with you. And now they represent me. And it helps me because it has my voice so clearly written. Because stand-up's one thing, but to see if you can actually write. And we all went to college, and I think it's cool to see that I know structure and grammar and things like that. I know people who don't go to college also can write very well. I get nervous sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, I'm sweating. But I think writing is so cool. And also we know, like, you guys started this podcast. Like, you have to do things on your own, and you can't wait for someone to hand you a podcast.
Right.
Like, you start it yourself. So I wrote a show for myself. And people have tried to buy it and kind of change it or put someone else in it. And I'm like, no, I wrote this to be on TV. So I'm trying everything I can to be famous and to be on TV, and I'm doing every angle.
Yeah. No, and that's important. And you have to do every angle at this stage.
You
like
do.
You just said. And I have so much respect for what you just said, where you have to create your own stuff because nothing's going to fall into your lap. I'm the biggest believer of that.
True. And like my Instagram stories, sometimes I'm like, why do I spend so much time on this? And then I remember that it's gotten me reality meetings and
oh, yeah.
I've written it into 2 of my pilots, kind of like Instagram story moments, and I've gotten attention from it, and it's a great way to show my voice. Because in general, it's kind of hard because it's like I've written TV shows, but I also might get a reality show, and there's kind of a conflict of like, do I want to be seen as a reality star? But I feel like I'm doing enough to legitimize myself now and to really show different talents.
It's not an act. Like, you are authentic. Like, that's who you are.
It would be me as a personality.
Yeah.
I want to be like a Chrissy Teigen type.
100%. I can totally see that.
Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I think that would work.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll tell your management.
Thank you, please.
So when you were at Emerson, I just want to like back up a little bit because I actually don't know, like, what did you major in? Because I only knew you from like parties.
Yeah. We were like the party people.
Yeah.
Imagine being the party girls at a liberal arts school.
Well,
it's kind of easy.
I think I originally met you through your friend Omri, who happens to have his birthday near mine. So anytime I would have a birthday party, I always had to make sure that it wasn't during any Omri Sember celebration because then nobody would come to my
Omri
birthday.
Sember. He truly calls it Omri Sember. I
gosh.
love him so much. We're still best friends. I made a bathing suit with his face on it.
I'm obsessed.
Like a one piece.
Do you wear it or is it for him?
I wear it.
Yes.
He has like underwear though, right?
Yes.
I made underwear recently. God, you're good. You remember better than I do. I recently ordered some underwear with my face holding where their like dick would be.
Oh,
you know what I
God.
mean? Like by the bulge.
So good.
So Omri and I met Omri at Emerson, and I was a marketing major. Okay. It kind of is what I do-ish. I was in denial about wanting to be an actor or whatever. Like, I always thought that was gross or annoying. And it took me like a year or 2 after college where I remember crying at Sushi Stop, like that bad sushi place, being like, I want to be an actress. And I was embarrassed about it. And I think that I had to like be comfortable with admitting that. And now that I say I want to be famous, now I have a chance of being famous. Before I was in denial. I was like, I just want to work at an ad agency or maybe, you know, be presenting there and maybe that'll be enough for me. And I was like, no, I have to do this now. I started going to acting class, like serious Meisner technique, door activities, like crying on stage acting classes.
Good.
And then I did like Groundlings, UCB writing. I went to NYU, like School of Professional Studies. I did screenwriting there. Like I tried to just do it all that I didn't do in college.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Because I feel like people, when they look at things from the outside, they just feel like, oh, like you probably like, oh, you're from LA, like she's just lucky, you know, and really there's a lot of work that goes into all these things that people aren't seeing.
And if anything, this is a thing I've talked to my therapist about. I love therapy.
We preach therapy on this podcast.
Obsessed. So obsessed. I think it helps with every single aspect of life. But I would tell my therapist, I was like, sometimes it's hard to push myself because I'm like, if I fail, I just move to Pasadena. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still here. So I have to really push myself because it's not like I have to move back to, like, North Dakota if I don't book this. So I have to, like, work really hard still. And people don't think I necessarily do. I don't know if that's really a thing. But I have, like, complexes about that, I'm sure. But sometimes I think because things are easier, because I could survive if I didn't do it, you have to then really decide that that's your goal, because it's easy to kind of give up or be like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll just like marry someone rich and get pregnant. And I'm like, that's not what I want.
Yeah. No, actually, that's really
I still want to marry someone rich and get pregnant, but then I want to still be famous on my own.
You want all of it.
Yeah.
I want like brand deals when I'm pregnant.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I want to get married when companies will give me things for free.
Yes.
So that's also, I think that women are told that they have to choose or they can't do it all, and it's not true. That's called history bias, another therapy thing. Or it's like when a white guy's like, well, you have to hit open mics every night and you have to get up every night. And I'm like, no, maybe you do that because you're not funny.
Yeah.
Maybe I could do a show once a week and it be with famous people. Sorry, guy. Like, ew.
Speaking of guys,
I love guys.
Would love to talk about a series on your Instagram story that is heartbreaking but honest. I want to talk about the Garage Clicker series.
Oh my God, such a good thing.
Okay, so tell the listeners what this is.
Well, yes. Okay, so to my apartment, I have a garage clicker. And in Los Angeles, if I give you a parking spot, that's an engagement ring, right? Actually, when we shot the debate series,
I don't remember you talking about
I was trying to explain. So we shot this debate series thing, and I debated this girl who I know is the girlfriend of this guy I dated.
Oh my gosh. Wait. Yes. Because, okay.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
So this guy, I dated him for 6 weeks, but it was way too serious, too fast. Whatever. I'm doing that now again. So whatever. Maybe that's just how love works. But I fell in love with him hard and I gave him my garage clicker so he could park and come and go. And then he broke up with me and I got bangs and a thigh tattoo. I went through it. Right? For this, like, he was like 25 or 26. I was like 2 years older than him. It was so embarrassing that I really overreacted. But I was like, I need to get the garage clicker back.
Oh my God.
And he was so immature about it too. He's like, well, should I just like drop it off or should I come up? And I'm like, yeah, just come up. Like, why are you making this a thing? And he came upstairs and I just cried the whole time. And then I took a selfie with the garage clicker. But then unfortunately it happened to me 2 more times with guys I was dating with the garage clicker. So then I have this like collage now of 3 different times of me. Like the third time the guy is kind of in frame because we like had breakup sex. So I'm there with the garage clicker and in the corner you can see this guy like in the bed. But the first 2 I'm like crying. The first one I have bangs and like blue-black hair. I went hard. I got a thigh tattoo at Harvard and Stone for $30. I Venmo'd a man. So that's the garage clicker tale.
Wait, but when you were telling the garage clicker story, was that girl in the room? Or like, did she know that?
I don't think so. Okay, this is the thought. I don't know if she knows that I dated her current boyfriend, but I think she might. Okay, so during the debate thing, she said something like, I'm from San Diego. And I was like, I didn't know that, which is so embarrassing because it makes it clear that I
knew who she
stalked
was.
her.
Oh my God.
And she said,
so
of course
funny.
you don't know that. We've never met. And that made me think like, do you know? Because then her boyfriend texted me that night being like, hey, I heard you met my girlfriend. She thinks you're funny. And I was like, ugh.
Oh my
Everyone
God.
knows. Everyone knows. I mean, we all knew. Also, I'm the crazy girl in the story, which is, I know we're not saying crazy anymore, but I did overreact. I shouldn't have gotten bangs and a thigh tattoo over a 6-week relationship with a guy who walks dogs. Like, that's on me.
But you know what? Like, that's just growth and self-awareness.
Yeah, and you can see the progression through the garage clicker because by the last one, I'm not crying.
No, but it's exactly. And it is totally A-okay to, like, be sad, cry. We've all been there. Jill has seen me many a times.
Yeah, and it was one of those things. Okay, to be fair to myself, I really liked him because he was the first funny, fun guy I ever dated. And then I kept dating not funny, fun guys. And now I'm dating a funny, fun guy who's better than him. It's like this crazy thing. Like, of course I reacted that way because I had never had someone like that. I didn't know it was possible. And then also I was annoyed that he ended it with me, even though I was going to like pump the brakes on it.
Isn't it so terrible when it gets
when I told my friends and they're like, why are you so upset you were going to end it? And I was like, but he did.
It's a difference.
I
respect that. It is. You
and I
want
just
to be
think
first.
I'm so hot. Like, he should have not ended it.
No, you are.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And
she doesn't have the blue hair and the bangs anymore.
Yeah. My hair is like normal colored.
And I'm trying to think of all the debaters, and even though we're all cute, like, you are definitely, I can't think of anyone that outshined you. So, you know.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
So anyways.
So to like put a really nice ribbon on this conversation.
Yes, sandwich it.
Yeah. I would love to talk about how your oversharing on social media has caused you trouble.
Okay, yeah.
We know that it's helped you. So
Sure,
I kind of want to know, you know, like, what have you gotten into? I know that you have to like block certain like parents from seeing your stories.
Yeah, I had my friend's mom blocked, and like everyone would always talk about my stories so much that she was like feeling really sad and left out. And I was like, fine, Mrs. Barth, I'll let you see my stories, but they're inappropriate. I used to go really hard. I was a part of the Snapchat vibe where I had like 40 people watching my shit. So I would show guys' faces, their names, them like their backs in bed. Like, I went hard, and then I transitioned to Instagram, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable with that. So you have to learn how to be more mysterious. And then I had the problem where I'd like cover this guy's face, and I like joked about our date, and he got really upset even though I asked his consent and permission before I posted. And I was like, this is not worth it. And I've gotten like really mean trolls, and I've joked about it or made fun of them on my stories, and then they've made other accounts and gotten like kind of aggressive, violent, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, I will only make stories or jokes about myself or if the other person is really in with it or thinks it's funny, because it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me uncomfortable. I know if I feel uncomfortable, I'll like delete a story if I feel uncomfortable right after. I really think it's part of knowing yourself and knowing what you're okay with or okay backing up. And it's like, yeah, I went on a bad date with this guy. Like, it was funny-ish, but is it going to ruin other guys wanting to go on dates with me? That's also kind of the hard part. It's like, you do have to be very much yourself, but you also don't want to be mean to anyone. So now I think I'm in a good place where I truly am fully myself, and I never make fun of anyone except for me.
Actually, yeah, no, I'm because none of your stories have ever made me be like, oh, like that wasn't like, you're all funny, and they're all like very, you know, yeah, no, I see where, yeah, I didn't.
So I've had to grow into that or develop it or just gauge how I actually felt.
No, that's smart. That's super smart.
I mean, it took a guy like making 4 accounts to yell at me on all my photos.
People are stupid. People are
like
so
violent.
dumb.
Like, I was like, am I gonna have to call the police?
Yeah.
I mean, some people are just really fragile, so
I know.
It's hard. It's really,
I
I
know.
can't imagine living that way all the time.
Horrible. Well, like, I've gotten really mean comments on like YouTube videos about my voice or whatever, and I would like jokingly put up the being like, oh, look at one of my fans, and now I'm like, you know what? Why am I giving them more attention and bringing it to light and like whatever?
Yeah.
You really do have to decide what you put out.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And therapy is also amazing.
I love therapy so much. I love my therapist so much. She's helped me with everything career-wise, like family, boundaries, dating, getting through everything. I love it.
Yeah, I love therapy too. It's been a year for me, pretty much. A little bit over. I love,
Wow, that's kind of new.
Yeah, I didn't.
I'm like
she,
3 years because I had a boyfriend that I hated and I needed to break up with him, and I needed to start therapy to get okay enough to break up with him.
Yeah.
Because I was so guilty, and now I'm like, ew. Fuck that. Sorry, I don't
Seriously. No, I know.
Great.
F that.
That. No, we could seriously talk to you for hours. This has been amazing. So I guess to wrap it up, where do you see yourself? What's next? Reality shows, all the things?
I want, honestly, all the things. And I think that now that I'm dating someone who does all the, like, he's published books and written TV shows and movies and directs and produces, like, I want to do more of the writing side and being in front of the camera, but I really do want it all.
As you should
I just want to be a personality, and I want to be active, like, and around other creative people. I think it's really cool to surround yourself with other interesting, creative, fun people like you guys, of course.
And and where can that people go? I know I mentioned your story before, but
I think that my Instagram is my strongest thing. Like,
Yeah.
I have a Twitter, and I'm not good at it. Like, it's not my love language of the social medias.
nor mine. But yes.
So Ariana Basseri. People think that's really my last name,
No, it's so
but it's just like badass.
Of course. It's so good.
Thank you
it's
so much.
good.
I
All
love
right.
it. It's a brand. Lean in. Okay.
Well, Ariana, thank you so much. Go see your stand-up, you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Boss Please Pod. And don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe on iTunes. Navigate the path to your best self with us, because bossing together is always better.